Kase here with The Weekend Gamer with actor Wendell Pierce. How you doing today?
Very good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little excited to meet you because not right now, but usually I'm watching The Wire every week.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate it a lot.
Now, I know you have writers, but are you ad-libbing any of your dialogue? Because the stuff you say, I'm like, oh my God, the police officer talk like that?
Well, actually, the police do talk like that. Yes, and they are very, very particular about their writing, so we are not allowed to ad-lib. Very few. I maybe had over the 5 years, maybe 1 or 2 lines that I've ad-libbed, but that's all of their writing. And I just, they've grown accustomed to my ear, you know, my voice, and they have it in their ear, and so they write stuff for me. So it works out perfectly. And they knew the real Bunk.
Okay. Oh,
so,
okay. So your character is based on a real character?
Well, loosely based. It was this detective, Rick Requier, Oscar Requier in Baltimore, a homicide detective who just recently retired, so I was able to go to his retirement party. So it was great.
That's exciting that he, retired, but shame on you for that language if it's true to life, because some of the stuff he says, I'm like, oh.
Trust me, police use that language, and they drink in that same tradition as much as I drink.
As much as you in that bar?
Yes, they do. There's a certain tradition on when they knock off after work on a particular night of the week, they get to the bar and throw a few back.
Now, seriously, in regards to The Wire, we've talked to a couple of people, Method Man, and different people about the show. It's to the point where I watch it just from a concerned citizen's point of view, really, how it really educates. What is it like when you first got on it? Did you know it was going to be this deep? And how have you seen it progress? How do you feel about it?
Well, I mean, the pilot episode was very, very on point, and we knew the writing was good. We just didn't know if the audiences would take to it because, with American television, it's always dumbing down. They don't write for the most intelligent in the audience. They try to find the least common denominator. And our show is not viewer friendly. It takes some effort on the viewer's part to engage in the right. And so I didn't know what the response was going to be, but it's just proof positive that American audiences and Black American audiences want to see something that is challenging to them, that is adult, that is serious in nature. And even those people who don't like the show, I always tell them to embrace the fact that they have a right to disagree and never lose the ability to be offended. I said, and if you, at the end of the hour of watching The Wire, we have done our job, because if you're not upset with the conditions that we, hold up to scrutiny, then you are accepting the conditions in our inner cities that are just really bad.
Now you mentioned that you were concerned about the American audience. It seems like the American audience has embraced. So I might embrace the show. Now I'm gonna get in a little bit of trouble in case we ever up for an Emmy. But it seems like the American audience, they're embracing you. But what about when we found out you didn't get nominated? People were like, "What?" I threw down my mic. I was like, "What?" I'm gonna have to go down there and talk to somebody. What is up with that? How do you feel?
That is the politics of Hollywood, And actually, I told someone we made American history because years from now we will always be a part of that best of television list, And I actually now don't want their accolade or honor of a nomination, because we have the greatest nomination, which is the appreciation of our audience. So
I figured it'd been too hard for them to decide who gets the Emmy between you. Everybody's so good.
Yeah.
But I see, yeah.
Those kids last year were great.
Okay, the kids that whole season. I keep saying that it was kind of like at the end you just feel like there's no turning back for any of them. Michael, all of them. It's like you just hope for the best. And is it going to be the last season? What do you know?
This is definitely the last season that we're shooting now. It comes out in January, and. The writer, David Simon, always knew that this was going to be the end. It was the arc that he had in his head. It's a novel. It's a visual novel that he was writing for television, and he always knew that this would be the end of it. So we got a chance to finish the story that he wanted to tell, and hopefully people appreciate the ending. And if not, I think we're still going to engage a lot of people.
I'm doing more than we do, because normally we have shorter interviews, so I hope you don't mind. But again, I love your career, so I'm going to take you back a little bit.
Yes.
Get on the bus, people.
Yeah.
Okay, he got thrown off the bus. So let's talk about that type of a person. I mean, I know it's pretty true to life of the different people they try to depict. What do you think about the person you portrayed and Get on the Bus?
Well, first of all, I was just happy that we have always said as Black folks, we're not monolithic. We're not just the same way. And we all know people like the Black Republican that I played. And since that movie, we have seen this insurgence, Freudian slip, this resurgence of Black conservative thought, And so
not necessarily being conservative because everyone has a right, but like even like when you're using the N-word, just the way, and again, a lot of black people use it, just the way you were using it was like, he's not really saying it in a user-friendly way.
Right, it showed you the duality of that word, you know, and how we know the duality of the word, and when it's said as a term of endearment, and when it's said as a real, insult. So, yeah, it was real interesting to do that role and have people walk up to me after and say, you know, I was with you on that film. I think like him, and I'm like, first of all, that's not me. I think the opposite. Yeah, that was a character, and I actually oppose the way you think. But it was great to work with Spike, and that was my one and only time to work with Ossie Davis, and he was a great mentor of mine, and you know I miss him to this day. He's fantastic.
Yeah, people also made comments, and I don't necessarily expect you to make a comment on this, but even the role Isaiah Washington played in the role, and then been comments lately. So again, no expectation of any comments if you have one, but it's interesting. Everyone played different roles, and you know, it's acting.
Right. I mean, you know, people. We are a diverse community, and it showed that in that film, that there are different attitudes, you know, even within black men, you know, and so that's what I appreciated about the movie.
I loved it. Okay, one more backtracking before we go to the present, when the levees broke. I watched it over and over and over again, and just the power of it is just amazing. So being involved with it, how was it for you? And just again, with personal experiences, like what kind of project was that for you?
Well, I mean, that solely was to get our story out. You know, I'm from New Orleans, born and raised, and I just wanted to make sure that people knew that we were abandoned, that the United States government left us out in the cold, that they were complicit in the levees breaking. You know, everyone's talking about this Minnesota bridge falling and the
bridge broke.
And the ruined infrastructure. And they're saying, oh, this is the first sign. No, the first sign was 2 years ago on August 29th when those levees broke. What people don't realize is the United States federal government was responsible for those levees and the maintenance of those levees, and those levees failed when they shouldn't have, and they are complicit in the death of over 1,800 people.
Now, is it slow to still rebuilding right now? Things aren't going as quickly as they should?
Well, no, it's not. What happens is the insurance companies didn't pay out anybody's insurance policies. We just recently lost a class action suit against the insurance policies, the insurance companies, and all the money that was appropriated by President Bush is still sitting in a bank account in Washington, D.C. because none of it, maybe 20% of it, has been appropriated. So they're doing everything possible to strangle us out of New Orleans, one of the #1 ports in the world, and the only state that drills for what? Oil offshore. And that is why we're valuable. 35% of the oil revenue in this country comes from New Orleans. But yet we only get 2% of the licensing when industry standard is 15%. Now, while the media derides Ray Nagin, the one thing he said in Congress was give us the 15% of our oil licensing fee and we'll be able to rebuild New Orleans without one tax dollar. But you never hear about that on the news.
I haven't heard about it.
So that's the thing, we're being strangled out. But the one good thing about what's happening is I see how our people survived slavery. I see the fortitude. I see the fortitude and resilience of black folks, and we're not going to let each other down.
So I know this is an entertainment show, y'all, but
yes,
hey, we're politically correct. We're going to bring it to you the way we need to bring it to you. So if you don't like it, hey, anyway.
Well, if it can happen to us, it can happen to you. So
watch out. So tell us about some of the newest projects you're in. I see that I'm assuming you're a little selective because the things you're in are like really great. So what's some of the next projects you're going to be involved in?
I just finished this epic film. Turn of the century takes place in 1895 to 1931, called Bolden, about Buddy Bolden, who was one of the first innovators of jazz in New Orleans, with Anthony Mackie and James Earl Haley. We just finished it in North Carolina. I'm looking forward to that. That's coming out next year. And then I'm going to do Waiting for Godot at the levee break in New Orleans in the 9th Ward in November. So come down to New Orleans and check that out.
That's some good stuff in store for you. So now, outside of the serious tip, when you're kind of hanging out, you're not acting, you're not, doing your thing, what's your game? What's your hobby?
I love to travel, and I love music. I'm a big jazz head, So I'm going to finish up The Wire, and I'm going to be outside of a little bungalow on a white sand beach in the Caribbean for about 2 weeks, doing nothing but fishing. And this place where I'm going, you have to take a little seaplane to get there, and there's only like 15 bungalows. So it's just me and nature, and then I love music. So that's what I do. That's my little hangout.
Thank you so very much for taking all this time to talk to us. We really appreciate it, okay?
How you doing? This is Wendell Pierce from The Wire, and you are watching The Weekend Gamer.